All right, well, thank you everybody for coming. And my name's Alan Maxwell. I'm project manager. You see me at other open houses here with Ramsey County. I'm also here with Larry Poplar, TKDA, our design consultant for this project. And we're here to talk about recent changes in Eustis Street and to fill all of you in. And so since our last open house, the county and the city have agreed that the county is going to own and maintain Eustis Street following this project. Previously that was undecided, and so we've honed in on that, and in accordance with that, we're going to be making some changes to the scope of the project that more properly align with the county's ongoing maintenance program. And so I'm going to be over at the layouts following the presentation. We're going to attempt to answer most general questions that we anticipate coming up with this presentation, but then afterwards it'll be myself and Larry, Commissioner McGuire's new aide Selena, and our county program deliverer John Mazzatello and County Director of Public Works Brian Isaacson. All five of us are going to be over at the layouts afterwards so we can address specific questions, point things out on our layouts, and see that everybody's questions are answered. And so following that, we'll get in the presentation. So when we're talking about changes, the changes are going to include performing a mill and overlay operation of the project as opposed to a full removal and replacement. So there is, if you're driving on the blacktop pavement, existing concrete pavement underneath the blacktop, and we previously discussed removing all of that, but we do see that the concrete still has some useful life in it, and so we are scaling back to a 4-inch mill and overlay that is going to be able to keep that concrete in place. And so this is going to eliminate a lot of headaches that we have on that hill with doing full excavation between Idaho and Larpenteur Ave. And we're still planning to install new curb and gutter on both sides of Eustis Street with accompanying storm catch basin drains so that we can manage our stormwater runoff. Second change is we previously planned to introduce a retaining wall and trail in between Idaho and Larpenteur, but after further evaluating it, considering our safety and maintenance complications with doing something like that, the county and city have collaboratively agreed that we are going to remove that from this project. The pedestrian access that we are proposing is going to be along Carl Street, Idaho Street, and Eustis Street. We are going to be connecting with that existing sidewalk near the Lauderdale border so that there's a path up to between Como and Larpenteur. And then the last change that we have, more of an update where we've decided on the appropriate stormwater best management practice, or BMP, for this project. And so we have another layout that shows where those existing concrete ditches are, where water is flowing through and getting clogged near the Greenway Village apartments. We're going to be moving to an underground system, and so that's going to look like green space following our project, but there's going to be a lot happening underground that's going to accommodate that need for addressing the flooding issues. So with that, move over here. So even with the changes that we have to the scope, we're still aiming to address those same three main concerns that we have for Eustis Street. We're going to remove the top layer of pavement and replace it with new smooth blacktop to improve the pavement condition. We're going to be adding the section of sidewalk that was missing from Eustis Street so that we can have connectivity. And we're going to be addressing the flooding issues near the Greenway Village apartments by installing this new stormwater management system. So now Larry is going to dive into some more specifics of what these proposed final design is going to look like.
Thank you. So these are the graphics we have sitting over on the side there. We can walk through. Well, walk through them here, but then we'll be able to talk more about them later as well. For orientation, north is to the right. Larpenteur is along that right edge. You can see 280 at the top, and Idaho comes in the middle. And the way we display these types of graphics is we show the pavement is yellow, trail is pink, curb and gutter is red, driveways are blue, and kind of green areas are green. So this is the previous layout that we presented last October. And this was, as Alan mentioned, was a full reconstruction, new concrete curb and gutter type of project. Kind of working our way from south to north or left to right. On the south end, we had 11-foot travel lanes and 7-foot shoulders and a 6-foot sidewalk along that east side from where the sidewalk ends today up to Idaho. We also have sidewalk on the west side from Idaho down to the bus stop. As you work your way north of Idaho, because of the hill, we narrow up the roadway, and we added retaining wall and a 10-foot trail on that west side up to Larpenteur. At Larpenteur, we have a 9.5-foot shoulder and the 2 lanes, and then a signal replacement up at Larpenteur with the project. This depicts the changes. This is a 4-inch mill and overlay, as Alan mentioned, versus a full reconstruction. We're still adding concrete curb and gutter throughout the whole corridor. The section from the city border up to Idaho, from the south end up to Idaho, is very similar. It's 11-foot travel lanes, 7-foot shoulders on both sides, and then a sidewalk, the 6-foot sidewalk up to Idaho, and the sidewalk on the west side to the bus stop. Where things start to change then is north of Idaho. The trail is no longer part of the project. The retaining wall and the cost for that and the impact to property behind that were also a factor, as Alan mentioned, the maintenance as well. So the stretch between on the hill itself is 11-foot lanes, and then we have a 3-foot shoulder on one side and a 5-foot shoulder on the other side. Today, there's 4-foot shoulder on both sides, for reference. Up at Larpenteur, the section is very similar. It's a 9.5-foot shoulder on that west side, and then 2 travel lanes, and then the signal is being replaced as a part of the project, similar to the previous layout. I'll walk through the storm water, and it's maybe tough to see here, but we can show you on the graphic over here. But the stormwater layout's very similar to the previous proposal. We are adding a number of inlets along the corridor along the new curb and gutter to collect the drainage. There are those green dots on here and on the graphic over there. As it comes down the hill, we have a number of inlets right at that intersection of Idaho, so we can collect that water before it gets into the intersection. And then we're bringing that water to a collection system, stormwater retention area near the Greenway Village apartments on that east side. And so right now, as Alan mentioned, there's a concrete swale and a concrete ditch in there, and so that would be filled in, and we are placing an underground system in that same area, filling over it, and so there's no longer a ditch there. It'd be a straight grade from the back of sidewalk to the parking lot, and then that underground system will work to retain the storm water during those really large events, and it really by doing it this way, we are increasing the stormwater retention by 3 times. We are also, you can see this long, narrow section here. We're going to fill that ditch as well and underground pipe that drainage to that system, that area. Okay. All right, as we get closer to construction, which we're planning construction for 2025, We're still working with the city to determine final detours, but the roadway would be open to local traffic. So people that live or have to do business on that property, or along the corridor can still do that. But the through traffic that cuts through there would be detoured. And so we're looking at several options for that. We're also looking at staging the project to try to minimize impact, maybe starting a section on the south end up to Idaho first and doing the north end after that. So we're still having conversations around how the traffic would be handled during construction. All right, so this is the kind of the overall schedule for the project. We are right there, you can see open house number 3. We're ready to go to final design. So after tonight, we would be kicking off things and finalizing the design and getting things ready for bidding in December of this year for construction in June. I think that's all I had there. Oh, I do have one other thing. So we've been working with a lot of the private utility companies. We've been meeting with them, and in order to build this project, there's going to be other private utility impacts. And so you might see some work occurring yet this fall for people, for utilities such as gas or a power pole movement to make way for this project. Alan?
Hey, thanks, Larry. And yeah, that concludes our overview of what's happening with Eustis Street and our final design. So for more information, you can visit us at the website that's listed there. I believe it's also listed on the invitations that you've all received to make it to this open house. And we're going to periodically be updating that as changes happen in the design, mostly once we get started closer to construction so that you all can be made awares. We'll also be sending out notices to your home once we approach construction so that you guys can get ready. But thank you for attending the open house. We're going to make our way over to the layouts here so we can zoom in and answer some more specific questions so we can raise the house lights, and thank you all for coming.